Welcome to the Highlight Show. I'm Phil Kessler.
And I'm Amy Ryan. It's great to be here.
Wow. Okay. I'm still kind of reeling from that session, actually.
Yeah.
The thing that hit me right away, and honestly, it felt like such a relief, was that ultimate marriage hack idea. It just feels so counterintuitive, right? That you don't need years of work for these tiny little steps.
Right. No slow grind.
Exactly. But instead, you go hard on just a few really powerful skills.
Yeah.
That feels, I don't know, revolutionary compared to everything else you...
Oh, it's definitely radical. And he leaned into that, didn't he? Framed it as a shortcut, deliberately.
Yeah.
And the key thing for you listening is understanding that split he made. You know, the top 25% of skills versus the lower 75%.
Right.
Because his whole point was that most couples are pouring all their energy into that lower 75%.
What is what? Like the basic decency stuff. Rudimentary communication.
Exactly. The stuff that gets you out of constant fighting, maybe. But the return on investment there, it just drops off once you hit a certain point, a plateau.
I feel like that 75% is where like 99% of the standard marriage advice lives.
Yeah.
It gets you from maybe that 30% disaster zone to, okay, functional. Polite. The 50% mark you talked about?
Too much. Functional is the word.
But then you spend years just trying to inch that forward a tiny bit. It's exhausting just thinking about it.
That's the trap he identified. That top 25%. Those aren't just niceness skills. They're mastery skills. They demand a different kind of accountability, real emotional discipline. So for you, the person trying to learn and improve, this shift is... well, it's everything. It's about stopping the information overload and focusing on high-impact stuff, targeted implementation.
It's like realizing you've been climbing the wrong ladder. Or maybe just stuck on the lower rungs.
Precisely. Recognizing that maybe you're working really hard, but on the, let's say, less effective problems.
Okay, let's dig into that a bit, because the part that felt the most challenging psychologically was the whole idea of needing to change your reference points.
Yes, that was central.
What does that even mean in practice?
Well, it's a pretty sharp critique of how we usually operate, isn't it? His argument was that we basically judge our own marriage based only on what we've seen up close.
Like our parents, friends, maybe some terrible reality TV show?
Exactly. So if the best you've ever seen is, say, a 50% marriage, you know, civil, functional, maybe a bit boring, but not actively bad, then getting to 75% feels like winning the lottery.
Right. It feels like the absolute peak.
You literally can't aim for a 100% standard because you don't even have a mental picture of what that looks like, what it feels like day to day.
So the work isn't just changing behaviors. It's like a complete overhaul of your belief system about what's even possible in a relationship.
Yes. You have to believe that deep connection, that lifelong passion he talked about, is actually achievable before you can even start trying the hacks to get there.
Okay.
And remember that scale he used. That was really effective for showing the journey.
Well, let's break that down quickly. 50%. That was functional, right?
Yeah.
Pay the bills. Don't yell too much. Coexistence.
Toleration, maybe. Yeah. Then 75% is better. Good communication, teamwork. Maybe you handle fights okay. Pretty good by most standards.
But why do people get stuck there at 75%?
Because, according to him, they're missing the high-level strategies. The ones for continuous growth, for keeping passion alive, for deep emotional intimacy. That's what 100% demands. They've basically maxed out on the basic skills.
Okay, so where does the credibility for this shortcut come from? Because it wasn't like he had 30 years as a traditional therapist.
No, definitely not. It was all rooted in his personal story, wasn't it? That intense background, street life, prison, then boom, rapid success as an entrepreneur.
Right. High stakes, fast results needed.
He basically positioned himself as someone who had to figure out how to get measurable results fast in really tough environments.
Okay.
So he framed this whole marriage thing not as some academic theory, but as a system. Battle-tested principles applied with that same hacker intensity to relationships. It bypasses the slow, often winding path of traditional therapy.
It sets a very different expectation from the start. Like, this is going to be intense, focused results now.
Exactly. It's results-oriented, which is appealing if you feel like you've been spinning your wheels.
Which brings me to the hacker mindset thing. That analogy really stuck with me, the one about the pawn becoming the king.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Powerful metaphor.
The idea that just being married for 20 years doesn't make you an expert.
Right. His point was you might just have one mediocre year repeated 20 times over.
Ouch. But true for a lot of things, maybe.
Experience doesn't automatically equal expertise or mastery. Time alone isn't the key variable. It's the focused practice of the right methods. The elite ones.
So, okay, translating that pawn to king idea. What does cherry-picking elite practices actually look like on a normal Tuesday?
It means being incredibly proactive. It's about radical accountability. So instead of just waiting for a fight and then trying to use a basic 50% skill like, I statements or careful listening.
Which often fails in the heat of the moment anyway.
Right. 100% couple, he argued, uses elite methods proactively, like having pre-agreed rules of engagement for conflict or scheduled structured emotional check-ins to catch small things before they blow up.
So it's deliberate. It's playing offense for the relationship, not just defense.
That's a good way to put it. And that intensity, that focus. Remember the chess story from prison?
Yeah, and the real estate examples.
He used those to show. When you strip away everything but the highest yield methods and implement them intensely, you compress time. You get results way faster than you thought possible.
Okay, but let's push back a little here. That level of intensity, the hacker approach, doesn't that sound exhausting? Like risk of burnout?
That's a totally fair question. Can people really sustain 100% focus, especially if they're starting from, say, 50% and feeling kind of drained already?
Yeah. Is it realistic?
I think his answer was in the structure he provides. It's not just, here are the hacks, go do them.
Right, it was the whole package.
It's the concentrated practices, yes, but combined with the coaching and the community. That's supposed to provide the momentum, the accountability, the support needed for that speed.
So it's a system designed to counter the problems of trying to do it alone or with inconsistent help, like maybe occasional therapy sessions.
Exactly. He's offering a unified, high-intensity system versus the more variable quality and pace you might get elsewhere. And we should probably mention the faith aspect he brought in.
Yeah, the faith-informed language. How did that fit?
It wasn't just tacked on. It seemed structural. Like, it provides another layer of motivation, a kind of moral or spiritual weight behind the commitment. Framing marriage as a covenant, not just a contract, reinforces why you'd aim for that absolute 100% standard. It demands more.
That makes sense. It has a deeper why for the what, which you probably need for this level of transformation. Okay, but now, the elephant in the room for a lot of people listening, I bet. Sclerosis resistance.
Yeah.
Well, if you're watching this, you're fired up, you want the 100%, but your partner isn't on board or is even hostile to the idea.
Yeah, the classic it takes two problem. He hit that head on. And his answer was honestly pretty motivational, but also very pragmatic.
Which was?
The one hacker changes the household idea.
Right.
Which speaks directly to you if you're feeling stuck because your partner won't engage. It basically says, don't wait for them. You start.
You lead the change.
It catalyzes it. By modeling such a high standard yourself, the whole environment, the whole dynamic of the household starts to shift, even if they're resistant initially.
Okay, that's bold. How do you actually do that without coming across as judgmental or preachy or controlling, look how enlightened I am now?
Yeah, definitely not that. His solution was focused entirely on your behavior. One person-led change. You stop trying to fix them or convince them of their flaws.
Okay.
And you pour all that energy into mastering and living those top 25% behaviors yourself flawlessly, consistently.
So practically.
Yeah.
What does that modeling look like day to day? What was the framework he gave for one partner doing this?
He talked about those specific skill modules, the heroic men and heroic women mini courses he mentioned.
Right.
And those sounded like they weren't just generic self-help. They were focused training on like internal discipline, emotional leadership, taking radical ownership.
So for the heroic man example, it's about stepping up, leading by example, defining purpose, not nagging or waiting for your partner to change first.
Exactly. It's about changing your input into the system so fundamentally that the system has to recalibrate.
And seeing that video clip he showed, the couple arguing, that made it very real.
Didn't it? It was raw. You saw those lower 75% behaviors, the blaming, the defensiveness, the getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, painfully familiar maybe for some.
And then he could instantly pause it and say, okay, here's the 100% intervention. Here's the high leverage move. It showed it wasn't just theory. It applies right in the middle of the mess.
Which kind of brings us back to the support structure needed to actually pull this off. Because it's clearly not easy. It wasn't just buy this workbook.
No, definitely not. The coaching calls, the private community, that whole ecosystem seems designed purely for implementation, to keep you going when it gets hard.
And the confidence behind it was pretty clear in the guarantees he offered.
Totally. That stood out. He's basically selling results and backing it up. You get the materials, sure, but then that bonus 8 weeks of live coaching, that's significant support.
Plus the lifetime access option for the early people.
Right. I think the implication is the hacks, the principles are so potent that you will see a tangible shift, like a change in the emotional temperature of your relationship well within that time frame, enough to know if it's working for you.
It definitely lowers the barrier to entry if you're on the fence. It puts the pressure on the program to deliver quickly.
Yeah, it aligns with the whole rapid results promise.
Right.
So if we circle back to why you, the listener, might have tuned into something like this in the first place, you're probably looking for something different, something faster, more impactful.
Yeah. Tired of the slow grind, maybe?
And this masterclass definitely laid out a full blueprint for potentially skipping all that incremental stuff.
Okay, so here's the main thought then. For anyone listening right now, we've obviously just scratched the surface here. reacting to what stood out to us.
Absolutely. Just the highlights.
If this whole idea, bypassing the slow stuff, aiming directly for a 100% standard, the hacker mindset, if any of that resonates or feels intriguing,
then you really, really need to find and watch the whole 2-hour session, start to finish.
Yeah. You have to see the full context, hear how he breaks down the analogies specifically for relationships, see the case studies he uses,
and understand the level of commitment he's asking for. It's significant. Seeing the whole picture is kind of essential to deciding if you're ready for that intensity.
Totally agree. You need the full why and how to really buy into the challenge of actually maintaining that 100% standard. That's the real work, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So maybe the key takeaway isn't just, oh, there's a shortcut. It's more like realizing the hidden cost of not changing, the cost of staying stuck at 50% or 75%.
The years of quiet regret, the low level of dissatisfaction, just tolerating things.
Yeah. That cost might actually be far, far greater than the upfront effort required to install a truly elite, high leverage system for your relationship.
Stop settling for good enough or just not bad. And maybe the most fascinating paradox here is that sometimes the path that looks hardest, the one requiring radical intensity, radical honesty, total commitment, might actually be the quickest route to genuine peace, to real lasting connection.
The intensity leads to rest.
That's the paradoxical promise of the hack, isn't it? It's something to really think about.